What's up, everybody? This is Trip.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Dead Center, where we try to conversate, not concentrate, and
Get to the point.
And today's point, it's like a tale of two Michaels and a Trump somewhere in there.
Right.
We've got Michael Cohen, Michael Flynn, and Donald J. Trump, the president of the hour.
Mr. POTUS.
Oh, man. And it's really, we kind of steered clear of the Mueller investigation on this show just because there's not any real evidence of Russian collusion thus far.
It's a whole lot of speculation.
Right. And we really tried to avoid the topic. Just simply because not all the facts are out. And as a show that likes to be objective as possible, we really want facts so we can talk about the facts, not do a whole lot of speculating like you'd see on other news shows. But now we have some facts. And facts are Michael Cohen pled guilty to tax evasion, tax fraud, and election finance fraud, and just received 36 months or 3 years if you can't do fast math. And that's a BFD.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Right now, it's looking like he's going to do even more cooperating with Robert Mueller. He said he will, more so than what it was. And the thing is, he didn't even receive these charges because of the Mueller investigation.
I just want everyone, in case you have been living under a rock, Michael Cohen has been Trump's personal attorney
/ fixer.
And that's what the spicy quotes. That's the other thing he does is he's the fixer.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gone so far as to have the president do a backlash on all this.
Well, all right. Before we get into the dumbed down tweet that we're bringing back for this episode,
yeah, I can't wait. I wasn't even going to mention that.
Yeah. Well, this is okay. So just a little context. So Donald Trump, in 2014 or 2013, he had a deal set up with AMI, that's American Media Inc., who owns the Inquirer, tabloid newspaper, blah blah blah, and they essentially had a deal worked out where anytime there was a story that was going to be brought to light by somebody Trump had an affair with or did any shady business dealings with or whatever, AMI would find the story, tell Trump, Trump would pay AMI, they would buy the story, Trump would pay AMI for the story, and Michael Cohen would pay off the woman in question or whatever.
Whoever it was,
whatever story it was. And they kind of had a little triangle of trust going on right there. And in 2014, Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels, right? This is all information from the Southern District of New York. That's who brought these charges against Michael Cohen, not Robert Mueller. Michael Cohen has agreed to help Robert Mueller in order to get less in time. So Stormy Daniels comes out, says, I signed an NDA, but, to hell with that. This is my story. Karen McDougal only had her story released because of I want to say the New York Times or something like that found out about it. Either way, Michael Cohen's testified, and now the head of AMI have both testified that Donald Trump had these stories bought and paid for in order to help it not affect the campaign, which is intent, which is what you need for campaign finance violations. It is what it is. And that's kind of where we're at with it. They both testified to it.
The biggest one is probably the campaign finance fraud guilty plea.
Right.
That is the biggest one because that tells us that there's no reason to plead guilty to it unless you have committed it. And by saying you committed, that means money that was donated to the campaign or whatever was supposed to be in the campaign was utilized to silence these stories.
Well, and let's just be real about who Michael Cohen is. He is a defense attorney, a criminal defense attorney. Right? He got 3 years because when they first came to him, he wouldn't talk. And then they brought evidence against him knowing he was lying. And then they were like, he was like, okay, now I'll talk. And they were like, it's too late. So, it goes from 10 years to 3 rather than no time at all. Mm-hmm. So again, he's a criminal defense attorney. Why is he going to, you honestly think at this point he's pleading guilty to these charges in order to defame the president?
Right.
Seriously? Come on.
Yeah. I don't think you can call it a witch hunt when there's someone who was...
Multiple people.
I mean, well, at least... Your fixer. We used spicy quotes earlier to call him his fixer. The guy that was in that triangle of trust with this...
I think we just coined that. I haven't heard that yet.
Whatever. The triangle of trust between Trump as a pre-candidate / candidate, Cohen as his lawyer, and the media.
Well, and Trump's defense on this, and it's not necessarily a bad one, but when you've got Rudy Giuliani running out and basically admitting that you lied because you weren't under oath, it makes it look really terrible. And his defense is essentially, yeah, well, I've been paying women off my whole career. What are you talking about? This is nothing new. You heard me on Billy Baldwin's show. Like, let's just keep it real about who Trump is. He's not some Boy Scout, right? He's been sleeping with prostitutes and women that he probably shouldn't have any business being around because he's been married and blah, 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 blah. And he's essentially going to say, yeah, I've been doing this my whole career. It has nothing to, I would have done this regardless of the campaign, right? Because I have a son, I'm married, and, I don't want it to affect my personal life. And that's really the best defense he's got. And it's not a bad one, to be honest. He just has to be forthcoming about it because up until this point, he's denied the allegations, right? He's denied sleeping with Stormy Daniels. He has denied sleeping with Karen McDougal. He's denied any of the accusations being made by the head of AMI that they paid $130,000 to Stormy Daniels and $150,000 to Karen McDougal. Like, he's denied all this. So he has to come back, and that's why I said the thing I said about Rudy Giuliani, because Rudy Giuliani came on all the Sunday shows and essentially said, oh, well, they were in contact earlier in 2016, and well, yeah, he lied, but Cohen's the liar. He was under oath. Trump wasn't under oath, so it doesn't matter. It's like, so we're going from he didn't lie to, well, if he did lie, it's not a crime, to, well, he lied, but
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And that's and it really just amazes me that Trump's base still thinks this is some deep state setup.
Right,
it's
I don't know
coup.
how you can use witch hunt when someone that was that close, that was that embedded in all of this, does this. Now, here's the big thing. Here's the biggest thing about this, in my opinion, is that's what they're gonna. That is probably going to be the only thing that they're able to get him on. I don't think there's going to be enough for the Russian
There's now
collusion.
10 investigations between federal
that leads
and
us
state.
to the next Michael.
Well, before we get off this, Michael, hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. We got the Dumb Don tweet, not to delay any further, but Donald Trump on December 16th said on Twitter, remember, Michael Cohen only became a rat after the FBI did something which was absolutely unthinkable and unheard of until the witch hunt was illegally started. They broke into an attorney's office. Why didn't they break into the DNC to get the server or Crooked's office? First of all, it's funny that he says crooked and we know who he's talking about.
Yeah, he capitalizes the C in crooked, and it's like, oh, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
we
Hillary,
get it.
Yeah, okay. Second of
He's
all,
talking directly to his base. That's the indicator that he's not talking to the average person. He's talking to his base. He's defending himself to his supporters.
Right. And then, okay, and this has been repeated, and I'm just going to repeat it again. The rat is the guy who tells the truth to the cops, right? He tells the truth. So you're saying that Michael Cohen is telling the truth.
Right. You essentially say, this guy's only flipped because they did something illegal, not even acknowledging, or keeping up the facade that it's all a lie and he does say witch hunt, right? He says witch hunt again, and it's just one of those things where it's like, how can there be so much surmounting evidence and you still call it a witch hunt? At this point, you might as well just go ahead and say it's all true, but it wasn't campaign finance money. That part's a lie. That part's the witch. It's a little bit more believable. I don't want to give him a foot in the door.
Well, I don't know why. First of all, a criminal defense attorney would plead guilty. Come on, this guy he knows the law.
I'm not saying that it's likely by any means. I'm just saying that at this point, we've gotten into and far into such absurdity of bullcrap that at this point, it's almost like he needs to just go ahead and get out in front of the whole Stormy Daniels thing and say, this was my money, not campaign money. And that part's the falsehood. And the problem there may be...
Well, it doesn't matter if it's campaign money.
It does matter.
It matters if it's intent to influence the campaign. That's what the big deal is.
I thought it had to be money.
No, it has to be intent to influence the... So if he paid them off...
Done.
Yeah, exactly. If he paid them off in order to not have it be at the forefront of the campaign, right? That's what makes it grounds for campaign finance violation.
I get it. And I bet you that, anyway, the whole NDA thing with Stormy Daniels, that was just one of those no one thought.
Well, she wound up having a judge certify that she's got to pay Trump like almost $300,000 in legal fees.
It's what happens when you sign a contract.
Right.
The amount of
you can't do
the
that.
amount of public praise, the amount of attention, and the amount of money that you get by breaking the NDA does not nullify the fact you broke the NDA. So yeah,
all that money you just made
is probably going back right to where it started.
Yeah, you're paying back double what he paid you initially.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
way to ruin your Trump bump.
Yeah, I don't know. She might have one or two of those still.
Oh, maybe.
Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at with Michael Cohen, and then we have Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn in 2006. So in 2016, when the DCCC was hacked, I had to count that out, make sure I put the right amount of C's, and the DNC were both hacked. The U.S. intelligence, CIA, NSA, things like that, said that it was definitely the Russians. And Obama said, okay, well, we're sanctioning the Russians in like November. He put all these sanctions on the Russians. And then after Trump was President-elect Trump, mid-December, General Michael Flynn, who was going to be national security advisor and was part of the Trump transition team, met with Sergei Kislyak, which is the Russian ambassador, and said, hey, tell Putin, don't worry about the sanctions. We're going to make sure that goes away once we get into office. Just don't retaliate. We're going to make it happen.
Understand how casual that could have been at that level, right? Right. That meeting happens,
and that's
whether
not,
or not
honestly,
there are sanctions. That meeting happens,
right? And honestly, I don't know that in and of itself, if I'm mad at that. You know what I mean? I understand why it's inappropriate.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that it's cool, he's off the hook for it. I'm just saying, okay, you're the national security advisor talking to a foreign ambassador. Okay? Yeah, I understand how that comes up. Now, if you would have told the truth about it from Jump Street, we're not having this conversation.
Well, it might have been that. That's why I said how casual it could have been. It could have been the meeting was getting ready to be over, and the guy had offhandedly mentioned these absurd sanctions and how he didn't believe in them, and all he was like, "Oh, don't worry about that." The point is still, that seems so casual, right? You're in the midst of just like talking, and then all of a sudden it's, "Oh, well, yeah, don't worry about that." Granted, that's a whole lot of ignorance is bliss. It's a whole lot of ignorance.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of assuming if you're on board with that story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so again, I'm not, but even still, it's not some big preposterous story. It's just like, you sure? It's kind of questioning it for sure.
But the point I was making is that when he then said, I don't remember saying that, at the time, it could have very well been something where it's like, I really don't remember saying that. And then later, maybe he's thinking and goes, oh
yeah.
I very well could have implied that offhandedly, and
which is, if you see the transcripts, which is what it looks like,
right?
You know what I mean?
But again, the whole ignorance is bliss idea. Like, okay, just because you didn't know what you were implying and saying to a Russian official, you're a U.S. official saying that to a Russian official.
Well, and let's be clear, they were briefed on the dossier at this point. Right, Trump met with Obama and was briefed on the dossier. So Michael Flynn, if Trump didn't relay this information or Michael Flynn wasn't present for the dossier, to think that this would blow up, right? This dossier would blow up or have at least some sort of backlash like it's had. For him to have like some grandiose meeting about, oh yes, we're going to get rid of these sanctions and we're going to undo all of Obama's handiwork and like, no, that's probably not what happened. And he lied he omitted it from Mike Pence and he lied to the feds about it, because I guarantee you he was like, did I say that?
Yeah.
I'm just going to pretend like I didn't say it.
Right. I may or may not. I don't think,
and that's why Jeff Sessions recused himself, because he may or may not have said something like that. And as soon as they asked him and he was like, I don't remember. You know what? I'm going to back out of here. This is not my space.
I'm just going to go ahead and see myself out.
Yep. But I mean, can you blame him?
No.
Because they're literally.
At that point, you got to have to think like, oh, I am a U.S. official, and I did speak rather casually about how confident we were about, we're coming into the presidency and stuff and how we're going to take care of everybody, and oh shit.
Well, he tried to get, and here's the thing, and back to Michael Cohen as well. They both have said, Robert Mueller's team has said that they have both given significant information to the core of the investigation. And the core of the investigation is the Russian collusion thing, right? Now, it's not, and everybody likes to say it's based on collusion. No, it's based on Russian interference, right? He's looking into Russian meddling. Collusion is one of those aspects of Russian meddling. So to say that that's what they did to help out, right? They gave dirt on Trump as far as collusion. Yeah, that's probably, that evidence as of now shows that's probably not the case. They're probably speculating, obviously, right here, but they're probably, giving information as far as what they knew when the CIA told them the information, things like that. There's been no, Mueller's playing this close to the chest, but as of right now, there's nothing, there is nothing explicitly linking Donald Trump to Russia.
If it's more than just offhanded comments and,
well,
non-official promises or whatever, I mean, if it is that or not, if it comes down to Sessions and Flynn and Cohen and all these people turning around and going after Trump, I think historians might look back at it as ironic that the president, before he was president, before he was a president, he was on The Apprentice, and his catchphrase was, "You fired." And by firing all these people in his cabinet, they have done nothing but become helping hands to the Mueller investigation. So you're fired is him shooting himself in the foot.
Well, and so there's only a couple ways, and we can just touch on this real fast, but there's only a few things that, and it's all speculatory, right? But there's Roger Stone, there's Paul Manafort, and then there's Michael Cohen. We've been talking about Michael Cohen. We can do that first. Michael Cohen met with a Russian ambassador in Prague while they were in mid-2016, while they were talking about building a Trump Tower in Moscow, right? That was supposed to be dissolved. Apparently, they were still in talks as late as the 1st of November, right? Michael Cohen apparently had lied about that. That's what the news article, I think, in the Times said. So that's number one. Right, and I'm not going to go far into it. You guys do research, and let's talk about it on the Dead Center page if you have more info. Number two, Roger Stone. Roger Stone now has come. He's been investigated by the Mueller team, and apparently, the belief is that he was a messenger back and forth from WikiLeaks to Donald Trump. There were multiple calls to Roger Stone at like 1 a.m. a week before the DNC emails were dumped. Right, and Roger Stone was emailing with and on Facebook with somebody named Guccifer 2.0, which wound up being a fake account owned by WikiLeaks. So again, a lot of speculatory, a lot of circumstantial evidence. Right, there's nothing hard, but we'll see. And then Paul Manafort meeting in early 2016 with. Well, he was meeting he went to the Ecuadorian embassy in London or Scotland. I'm not sure exactly where Julian Assange is being held, but he went there multiple times, right? Why are you going there, right? And it's very suspicious that this is 2 to 3 months before the WikiLeaks dumps, right? He went there multiple times. It's very suspicious, right? And then obviously that was 3, but obviously the Trump Jr. meeting in Trump Tower, which Trump Jr. Look, there's like 7 investigations into Trump going on right now. The Trump Foundation, the Trump inaugural process, the Trump Towers, money laundering, the Mueller probe, like Trump's kids. It is piling on at this point. Let's just say Mueller is bull, right? Just for argument's sake. Let's say the Mueller probe is bull, right? It's not true. You mean to tell me that all 7 of these are deep state coups? Like that's what you would have me believe?
It almost gets to the point.
By different federal investigatory bureaucracies.
Right. I'm just gonna for the sake of the show, for the sake of this episode, not getting too piled up against Trump. I'm going to give a little bit of insight into how some of these supporters, the people that bang their chest or put on their headphones and say 4D chess, those people.
4D chess to the guy who puts his whole legal team on Twitter.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim. You go right ahead.
The more it piles up, that's the thing, is like when it was just the finance thing, and that's the one that's gone the farthest, right? The Stormy Daniels, the cover up money and the approving intent and all that stuff. That being what has gone the farthest, we have now seen just how much his voting base does not care. Right. He was able to rile them all up and have them follow him every step of the way, all the way up to where he admits to lying and says, "Yeah, but no one cares." And everyone goes, "Yep, we don't care."
I could shoot somebody on
Right.
Fifth Avenue.
Right, exactly.
I get it.
His voter base doesn't care that he was sleeping around behind his wife, which is funny because he's Republican, so he gets the evangelical vote, and everyone thinks he's the next Christ.
Yeah, but Clinton was the devil.
Right. So anyway, so he has that, right? And then the next thing, the Russian collusion, it's very loose. It's a whole lot of, oh my, like we were just talking about. So it's I don't know if I said that. I'm just gonna I'll help you any way I can, but
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like so and so therefore it's very easy to dismiss that, and you just go down the list, and what it eventually looks like to, I keep saying these people, but to the real Trumpettes, the real Trumpians out there, what it starts to really look like is he has this impenetrable armor, and that, there's this entity that's controlling the rest of all media and legal entities that are outside the direction of the executive.
Well, I firmly believe that media, that the mainstream media, even social media platforms in certain aspects, are biased.
I'm not
You know
saying
what I'm
they're
saying?
not biased.
So that's but that plays into what you just said, right? That it's easier to look and say, see, everybody's stacked against Trump. We're believing Trump.
The social media and the media is not really where I was going. I'm saying that that adds, I guess you could call that icing on the cake.
Right.
Like that helps the argument even more.
Right.
That there's this entity, that dark puppet entity behind everything that's like just Trump has
George
thrown
Soros.
this successful golden campaign to take down whoever this deep state is, right? And when you sit back and you go, look at all these different huge legal entities that have come forward against Trump and have done all these things. So far, he's still president, and he's still calling everything a witch hunt, and everyone believes him that's following him, right? So my point is like, it starts to look to them like all of these are from one entity, and that it's just Trump has defeated them every turn.
Well, let's shoot that down a little bit real quick, right?
Go ahead. I would.
Watergate
welcome
took
that.
over 2 years to even go down, right? When it initially happened was what, 74? When he left office was late 76, right? So that took over 2 years. It hasn't even been 2 years. He's gotten what? 3 people have now gotten prison sentences. Or Michael Flynn's awaiting prison sentence. Papadopoulos got 14 days in jail. Michael Cohen's now gotten 3 years. A whole bunch of indictments. Like, it's not like this isn't bearing any fruit. And that's not even anything other than the Mueller and SDNY probes.
I want to know what they're going to call it. Like you just referenced Watergate, right? Watergate's the name of the hotel where the bugs were put, right? That was the whole thing?
It's funny at the Dumb Don tweet that I shared earlier that he suggested breaking into the DNC. The FBI should break into the DNC.
Yeah, why didn't you just go do that?
Yeah, why didn't you break into the DNC?
Go do that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Arrest my political enemies, not me. My
Yeah,
political enemies.
exactly.
Did you not read the book? No, but my
you make a great point, Jim.
yeah. My real point is like, what are they gonna call it? Is it Trumpgate? Is it?
It's got to be something new.
Russiagate?
It's got no. I don't want a gate. I don't want a gate.
No, it's got to be a gate.
No.
It's a huge scandal that causes a presidential indictment. It's a gate. What was Clinton's?
Blowgate? I don't know. Look, I don't want to get too far into this, man. We kind of went over our time a little bit, but I saw a meme just to cap it off, man. We're talking about why we don't know why these people still support Trump, but I saw a meme the other day that was shared by a hardcore Trump supporter that I know, and it was, liberals don't stop to think. They look at, and it was a quote by Rush Limbaugh, and it was, liberals don't stop to look at, they don't think what Trump means to them, right? They see Trump as a great white hope, right? That he is being attacked, kind of like we were just talking about, by the deep state and the media and social media and mainstream media. All these things are attacking him, and he is still standing strong. And even if he's found guilty on half of or all the charges, they think he's doing what he's doing for him, and for that reason, they will never stop supporting him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah, no, but it's true.
Look,
it's very true.
I would have blind loyalty to my mom, right? To my best friend, right? To my brother, my wife, my kids, but not to a politician that I've never met and will never ever be able to think like me because he's never even been close to being in my shoes. I took out a small loan of $5 million when I left school.
What?
Yeah, that's
To whom is that small?
yeah, exactly.
I think that we should have a poll or some kind of discussion on our page about what we should start referencing this to. Because I really do. I don't want to call it Trump Gate. I don't want Trump to be part of it. I don't want the name Trump to be anywhere in there. But if we could, like, not even Michael Gate, because the Michaels don't even cover everybody, like half of it.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah, right. So I'm curious, everyone out there still listening to me, because I know it's been a minute. I'm curious, what do we call this? Like, I understand, like, if it's campaign finances that bring him down, my suggestion, if that is the main indictment, because that's the thing that's gotten the farthest, Stormygate. Because that officially gives her the Trump bump. You are now a porn star involved in United States history. At the top level of United States history.
Well, Marilyn Monroe wasn't a porn star, but I mean, she was very well embedded in United States history.
No, but it didn't end up like this. It wasn't. She was sleeping with the president, not slept with the president, and now is out for him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
I want Stormy. This is the one thing, Stormy. I will never watch a video you are in. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I want this for you. I want this for you. Stormygate.
And on that note, I'm Trip.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Dead Center, where we try to conversate, not constant hate, and get to the point. Love y'all. See y'all next time.
Peace.
Well, I don't know why I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair.